Hi guys, welcome back to our last part of user experience videos. We will now look at the types of user experience evaluation techniques. There are 5 types of UX evaluation techniques. We have heuristics, visual testing, UX testing, guerrilla testing, and matrix. So we'll look at each one of those individually in the next couple of videos, but in this video we will specifically look at heuristics and visual testing. Heuristics evaluation is basically when a user experience expert, for this case, looks at the system that you've designed, and then they evaluate the system against a list of specific established guidelines or specifications that a system must have. So it's basically when you get an expert, they look at the system that you've designed, and then they look at using like a whole list of established guidelines. They check whether your system meets those guidelines or not, and then they rank whatever you have in order of severity. The disadvantage of heuristics is that it's restricted to the aspects of user interface. So they would usually look at the way you've used your colors. Are you consistent with the terminology that you've used? How did you structure your information? And things like that. But it's very cheap and quick to conduct. The disadvantage of heuristics testing is that it's very subjective, because now you're using an expert in the field, you're not using a real user. So whatever feedback that you're gonna get, it's gonna be based on the expert's feelings or like their evaluation instead of the end user's evaluation. Visual testing is basically when you show a visual stimulus. It could be an image, a prototype, a screen, or whatever the case may be, to an end user. And what you're trying to do to achieve by that is you are trying to understand the user's reaction to that visual stimulus or that screen or that prototype or that image. Because we usually conduct visual testing because, like we've said in the previous technique only looks at the expert's sort of opinion, and that doesn't necessarily reflect the user's reaction or behaviors to that screen or that visual. So with visual testing, you're trying to get the actual user's reaction to whatever you're showing them. And there are 4 types of visual testing: the 5-second test, first click test, comparing multiple designs and reaction. And we'll just look at each one of those individually. The 5-second test is basically when you show the visual or the screen or an image to an end user for only 5 seconds, and then after 5 seconds you try and find out what they saw after those 5 seconds. What was the takeaway message? What did they get from viewing that particular visual, basically? And it's usually used to see if the design on the website or whatever that you're trying to show to the end user is communicating its intended purpose. And it's important because the majority of the end users will not spend more than 5 seconds on a page before they decide whether it's something that they like or not, or before they decide that it's something that's going to be useful to them or not. The first click test is basically so we expect our users to already have a specific goal in mind. So they should already know what they want to complete or achieve by doing a certain click, basically. So the first click that they click on, if that makes sense, on your application, if that lends them to something related to what they want, to their goal or task, then chances are they will end up completing their task. If their first click doesn't help them achieve their intended goal, then they're just going to leave the system or like your application, and they won't complete their task. Comparing multiple designs is basically similar to A/B testing, and we looked at A/B testing in our previous videos. But the idea behind comparing multiple designs is you show users more than one design that you have, and then that's going to help them select what they like and what they don't like. That's basically it. And last but not least, the reaction. The reaction is basically when you show the users your design, and then you ask for their reaction for that particular design that you have. So you could have an open-ended preference or a closed-ended preference, in which an open-ended preference is when you're communicating with the user. You're asking them, why do they like this design? Why don't they like this design? And then closed-ended is like you don't communicate with the user at all. The user will basically do everything that they're doing with the system that you've designed, and then they will give you your reaction. But the problem with this reaction is that a lot of people don't know how to articulate themselves, so they won't be able to explain why they don't like a certain design. They'll just say they don't like it. So the best way to do this is to ask the users to use 2 to 3 words, maybe, or 2 to 5 words to describe the site or their reactions, basically. That's all that we'll look at when it comes to the heuristics evaluation and the visual testing evaluation. In our next video, we'll look at the other evaluation tools remaining, the UX testing as well as guerrilla testing. But please don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in our next video.